The first thing to know about Absolute, which makes us unique in the industry, that means there's no other vendor that can say or do this, is that technically we're already on all of your devices right now. That means all of your desktops, all of your laptops, even the devices that you might be getting ready to purchase. And the reason is because we reside in the firmware of over 24 different hardware manufacturers like Dell, HP, Lenovo, just to list off a few of them. And once we get activated on a system, we become persistent. What that means is this firmware activation starts a process which installs an agent into the operating system. And if you try to tamper with or remove those agent files, that agent will self-heal and it will continue to run. If you completely reinstall the operating system, our agent will self-heal into the new operating system and it will continue to run. If you pull out the hard drive and place a brand new hard drive in the unit, our agent will self-heal onto the new hard drive and it will continue to run. And when this agent is running, periodically throughout the day, wherever the device gets an internet connection, that means on your network or outside of your network, anywhere that it touches the internet, that agent will check in and it will report the information that we're collecting to our secure customer monitoring center. So this is our first value and uniqueness that we bring to our customers, is this ability that once you activate us on a system, we cannot be deactivated locally at that point. This is also a cloud solution. That means there's no servers or infrastructure required for an organization to build out. You activate your systems, they start calling in to your particular organizational account. And so what this leads to is that for all devices that you activate with us, you're going to have asset intelligence. That means you're going to have information about these devices on or off the network and have device accountability. As these devices check in, we're gathering information about the hardware and what software is installed. We can even show you on a map where a device was when it last checked in. This is our geolocation feature. We can also track the device for how much it's being used after a user logs in. That means we start tracking when a user logs in and they're using applications, watching a video, using the mouse and keyboard, but not at screensaver, screen lock, or power save mode. And so what this provides is over time, you can look at individual devices or groupings of devices and you can see how much of these devices actually being used, or are they sitting in a desk drawer, or are they just being turned on and they go to power save all day. This is the type of information that device usage will provide. But we do more than just asset intelligence. We can also help with the data analytics and the compliance of the endpoint devices. And the first way we can do this is through a feature that we call endpoint data discovery. When this feature is enabled, it will scan the local hard drives of these activated systems, and it's looking at the data files, searching for particular data patterns. Patterns such as Social Security card numbers, personal health care information, credit card numbers. These are a few of the default categories. And if we find these patterns, we'll report back a match score per these categories, per device, to give you visibility across your activated systems as to where you've got sensitive information stored on the local hard drive and where you could have potential risk, especially if that device were to get outside of your control. We can also, as the devices check in, let you know what vendor of encryption, full disk encryption, that is running on the device or not, and we can give you the status according to that vendor. For example, BitLocker. Is it fully engaged and the disk is encrypted, or is it in a suspended state? You'll know this information whether the device is on or off the network. We can also detect what vendor of anti-malware might be present or not on the system and what are the virus definition dates. For SCCM, as the devices check in, we can report whether or not SCCM is actually present on the device or not, and if it is present, we can evaluate its health. That means we can let a customer know if it's functioning properly or not. If it is malfunctioned or if it's in an unhealthy state, we have a procedure to actually do a repair on the SCCM. Ultimately, we can actually fully reinstall the SCCM in the event that it's missing or that it's so damaged that we can't fix it. We can actually deploy your SCCM payload on or off the network to these devices and keep SCCM with integrity. We have reports around each and all of this information, and it can be as detailed as needed, but we also present this in a series of dashboards to kind of give a customer a global security posture view across their activated systems. And we do more than take a snapshot of the information as it comes in. We actually store the history of the devices, and because we store history, this solution can alert you to circumstances on your devices that you might want to be aware of. Like, for example, it had 8 gigs of RAM in it, and now it only has 4. Or the encryption status has changed, or it's been removed off of a system, or the operating system has been completely reinstalled and the OS product key is different. Any of these data points that we're tracking, we can alert you to a change on these systems, whether they're on or off the network. You can be notified and take whatever appropriate action that needs to happen. Now, should a device become suspicious, lost, or worse, stolen, there are some remediation actions that we provide to allow you to do a risk response. And the first action that we provide is a non-destructive action that we call a device freeze. With a device freeze, you can construct a message, and this message can say whatever you want it to say, like, this is our property, you need to get it back to this address, or call this number, contact this person. But when you send it out, this message, to one or more devices, it locks that system full screen, and the users can't alt-tab around that message, and they can't open up any new programs. If they reboot, they're just going to see this frozen message. Even if they were to reinstall the OS, when our agent self-heals, the device is going to freeze right back to the same message. So it's a way to render a device unusable until an administrator either unlocks it from their console, or they tell the user what the generated unlock code is, and the user can key that in locally, unlock the device, and then use it normally at that point. We also have another action that's a destructive action that we call a data delete. With this action, you can target individual files or subdirectories or file extensions, or you can target the entire system for elimination. And whatever option you choose, we'll provide a log file which shows every file name and path and what was eliminated from that system. It's a way that you could prove that we lost control of the device, but we were able to delete all the files, and here's a list of the critical files that were deleted. And these files are forensically unrecoverable after our data delete. But we also provide some services. Services such as doing a risk analysis report of a device. If a device becomes suspicious or we can't find it, you can run a risk analysis report to get a detailed analysis of what kind of potential risk was on that device as far as endpoint data discovery files or where it stood as far as encryption. But we also offer a service that we call investigations, which allows you to report your device to us as stolen in your console. We just need the police report number from you. And then we have a team of ex-military and ex-law enforcement agents who will work with the police on your behalf, feeding them the information that we're gathering from the device with the goal to get the device recovered and back to you, along with any evidence that was gathered as part of that investigation. So we do all the legwork of working with the police on your behalf. Now, I've been talking about how our self-healing agent can always come back on the system, and it can do all of these things that we just went through, but we can also provide resilience to the endpoint devices. And the first way we can do this is through a feature that we call application persistence. Since we can self-heal and come back, we can extend that mechanism over to other third-party agents, such as an anti-malware or a client management tool. SCCM was an example of how we're doing this with this technology. But if there is a third-party agent that you wanted to make sure was always healthy and running on your systems, even if the user were to tamper with it or completely uninstall it, with our application persistent services, we can bring that third-party tool back on and off the network. And we have a feature that we call Absolute Reach. And this feature allows you to target one or more systems. And if they're Windows-based systems, you can execute PowerShell scripts. And if they're Macintosh-based systems, you can do Bash scripting. But if you work with PowerShell on Windows, You'll know that that's a built-in scripting engine that allows you to pretty much do to that Windows device anything that you want to, like setting up a new wireless config profile or resetting local security settings, installing something, removing something. This and many others items can be done with PowerShell, and the strength here is that this is a mechanism that you can target these systems, and these scripts are going to run whether or not the system is in your domain or not, whether or not it has any kind of functional client management tool on it or not, and whether or not it's on or off the network. You can still get to these devices and take actions that you control. So this is the absolute solution, your complete endpoint visibility and control.